economic planning, site planning. So, and kanina yung environmental and natural resources planning. So actually, social planning, isa ito sa pinakamalawak na sectors, no? So ang daming saklaw na tinitingnan, ang daming subsectors na tinitingnan natin dito. And for this discussion, iisa-isahin natin yung mga essential concepts or key concepts and planning standards in relation to the subsectors of social planning. So medyo technical din siya, like nung CLUP at saka CDP. And maraming planning standards yung i-discuss natin for today. But before that, this is my presentation outline. So we will discuss first yung overview of the social planning, and then some basic concepts on social planning, and some tools on measuring social development. And we will be discussing also yung mga planning standards each subsector. Kaya medyo mahaba ulit itong pag-uusapan natin. Okay, so exam muna tayo. And diagnostic test. So you can chat in the chat box your answers. So question number 1. This refers to the population-focused planning that seeks to enhance people's capacities to meet their own needs through improvements of social infrastructures such as shelter, schools, hospitals, and provisions of public utilities, water, power, arts. Ayan, ang bilis sumagot. A, population management. B, social welfare development. C, infrastructure planning. D, social planning. Ayan. So the answer is letter D, social planning. So later on, papakita natin yung difference ng social development at social planning. Next question. Morbidity refers to A, mental insanity cases per 1,000 population. B, incidence of disease per 1,000 population. C, rate of contagion of epidemic every 72 hours. D, pandemic every 3 years. So the answer is, ayan, may mga sumasagot pa. The answer is letter B, incidence of disease per 1,000 population. Ayan. Next question. So ano yung edad yung mga young dependents in the Philippines? Refers to the population with ages A, 0 to 4, B, 0 to 8, C, 0 to 10, D, 0 to 14. So the answer is letter D. Yan. So majority ay tama yung kanilang sagot. Working age population, or yung tinatawag natin labor force population, including those actively seeking and not seeking work. Anong edad? Yan. B. BB ko. Ano yung BB ko? So the answer is letter B, 15 to 64. Ayan. So itong mga edad to is very crucial sa mga computation. So, kadalasan lumalabas talaga ito during the ENT boards. Okay, so this is my presentation outline again. So, first we will be discussing about the overview. So, balikan lang ulit natin, no, kung saan ba nakakonect si social planning in relation to the to the overall planning process. Ayan. So, medyo binabalikan ko yung mga dating key concepts, no? That's very still relevant. Baka kasi lumabas sa boards, no? So dati, ang tawag natin is socio-economic profile set. Ngayon, ang tinatawag natin itong ecological profile. So bakit mas tinawag itong ecological profile? So kung mapapansin nyo, sa socio-economic profile, parang snapshot lang siya ng profile ng area. Parang it's a physical profile of the area. So, kasama lang dito yung geographical distribution of data and disaggregated down to the barangay. Gives cursory treatment to the physical environmental sector. So, parang socio-economic, limited lang yung tinitingnan nila. Then, eventually, naging ecological profile siya. So, ecological profile, kasi it gives due recognition of proper space for biophysical or ecological dimension. So, kung napapansin nyo, no? So, kasama na yung biophysical and ecological dimension. And ecological profile encompassing the 5 sectoral development. So yung social, economic, physical, environmental, and natural. So before, ang tawag natin, ang ginagamit natin is socio-economic profile. Ngayon, dahil sa mga evolving change, so nagkaroon na tayo ng ecological profile. So mas ginagamit na natin si ecological profile, no? So because comprehensive development plan, no? So meron din tayong ecological profile. Right. So pag sinabi mong ecological profile, it gives in-depth environmental scanning, no, inventory ng mga data or requirements, and thorough assessment and analysis. So it involves the 5 sectoral development and the ecological and biophysical dimensions of an area. So mas malawak yung tinitingnan ni ecological profile than the socio-economic profile. Right, so overview. So balikan ulit natin to. So, last week, we have discussed yung Comprehensive Development Plans and CDP. So, saan pumapasok yung ating social planning? So, pumapasok din siya doon sa ating CDP sa sectoral development. And then, major references for this topic. So, basahan ulit yung Volume 2, Sectoral Analysis and Tools for Situational Analysis. So, dito yung majority yung reference natin for the sectoral planning. Yan. So, pag sinabi natin social development, saan siya papasok? So, ito yung mga key elements na tinitingnan natin, no? So, social development, we're talking about the population. So, tinitingnan natin yung size, yung population growth, and population distribution. So, di ba pag nagpa-planning tayo, essential talaga yung population and demography. So, kailangan natin malaman kung ilan yung population in a given area, ano yung population size, at saka saan yung pinaka-madaming population in relation to population distribution. Next, we are also looking for social services and status of well-being. So, dito kasama na yung health, no, health and sanitation, actually ito, and education, culture, and recreation. Yung social welfare, so, kasama din dito yung housing or shelter, subsector, and then the protective services. At tinitingnan din natin yun, gender equity concerns. So yun yung sakop ng ating social development. So babalikan ulit natin, no, sa technical component ng local planning structure. So may tinatawag tayong technical component, and then meron tayong sectoral and functional committees. So, dito ulit siya papasok. Ito yung mga sectoral committees natin, yung mga core, expanded working group, and yung full blown. So, pag nagpa-planning tayo, kadalasan, sila yung nakakagrupo. No? Sila yung doon sa sector ng social development. So, medyo malawak kasi ang dami din talagang tinitingnan in relation to social planning. Right. So, may question ba sa chat box? Wala. So, please ulit. In HRB guidelines for CLUP, which of the following does not fall under social sector? A, 1 and 2, B, 4 and 5, C, 7 and 1, D. Yan. And the answer is letter D. So, the answer is letter D. Tama ba lahat? Ayan, tama lahat. So, please take note on this type of exam. Ang tawag dito, parang tinatawag namin to double multiple choice. Nung time namin during ENT, ganito yung mga lumalabas. So, mas mahirap siya mag-process of elimination kasi it's a double multiple choice. Baka ganito ulit for this exam. So, just to prepare you na baka ganito yung type of exam, yung may double multiple choice. Ayan. So, lahat ay nakatama ng sagot. Ayan. Balik na tayo sa social planning and basic concepts. So, pag sinabi natin social planning, yung exam natin kanina, yung quiz, social planning is a population-focused planning oriented towards enhancing people's capacities to meet their own needs by means of improving social infrastructure, including shelter, schools, health centers, mga hospitals, and the provision of public services, no? So such as yung mga protected services natin. So kasama dito yung police stations, mga fire stations, rehab centers, at including yung mga sports recreation and cemeteries. So that is social planning. Ano naman pag sinasabi natin social development plan or social development planning? Social development planning, ito yung addressing the state of well-being of the local population. And we want to upgrade or enhance yung quality of social services nila. So kaya ng health, so mas mag-vary sa social services and housing in the city. And it questions also yung equity, social justice, and gender sensitivity are also addressed by the sectoral plan. And as mandated by Local Government Code, Section 16, kasama din dito yung preservation and enrichment of culture. Isa din sa mga major concerns of the social sector. So that's social development plan. Pag demography naman, demography is the scientific study of the human population. So primarily with the concerns of size, population size, structure, and development. So it is also the scientific study of the characteristics of patterns of human population. So yung kanina sabi natin, population distribution. And population projections serve as inputs in setting goals, objectives and targets, and formulation of policies and strategies in identifying programs and projects which form part of the plan. So, di ba pag nagsi-CLUP tayo at sa CBP, may mga population projections tayo. So, in span of 9 years, so ilan yung projected population ng LGU? It's very important to project the population kasi in every population na nadadagdag in a year, at alam natin kung ano yung population structure niya, alam natin yung mga basic services and facilities na kailangan na ng isang lugar. So halimbawa, dun sa population projection, at saka sa population size, so marami sa projected population within this time frame ay mga bata. So ano bang kailangan ng young dependent population or yung young population? Of course, they need to have education facilities, educational services, or health facilities. So that's why population projection is essential inputs doon sa ating planning process. So saan kumukuha ng population data? So before, meron tayong NSO. So ngayon, Philippine Statistical Authority na siya. So meron tayong census of population every 10 years. So take note, yung census ng population natin ay ginagawa every 10 years. And we have also NSO, PCSA survey, ginagawa din ito. Survey, makaiba yung survey sa census. So ito naman ay every 3 years. Then, meron din tayong mga vital registration system na nakuha natin sa mga local civil register, municipal at saka civil register. So doon, meron silang counts or yung total number of the population in a given municipality or city. And then, we have also from the LGU Barangay Council. At the barangay level, nakukuha din natin yung data on population sa mga barangays. So yung mga barangay health workers natin, di ba, nag-iikot sila, then yun, nagpo-profiling sila sa sa kanilang barangays. Yan. So next, so ano yung population? So population is the total number of individuals in a territory. So, kasama dito yung nationals or mga native and foreign persons, and including yung mga refugees kung meron within the borders of our country at specified time. So, total number of individuals in a territory. So, ito, meron tayong basic needs approach to development. Pinapakita ko lang ito kasi ito ay madalas din na lumabas. So, meron tayong essential, meron tayong basic material needs, and we have basic human needs. So, just give and baka lumabas doon sa ating ENP boards. And ito, kadalasan din ito lumalabas sa ENP. So, si Abraham Maslow, yung hierarchy of needs niya, no? So, yung pinakataas is yung self-realization or actualization. So, you can even need to memorize this. So, yung hierarchy of needs niya, no? So yung first, yung psychological needs natin, security needs, social needs, esteem, and self-realization. Pero doon sa mga proponent ng, kung nag-theory na tayo, kung nag-planning theory na kayo, yun, si Abraham Maslow is the proponent of hierarchy of needs. Yan. So pag sinabi mo naman empowerment, this is also very essential to social planning. So we want to empower the citizenry, the people. Empowerment is the expansion of assets and capabilities of poor people to participate and negotiate with influence, control, and hold accountable institutions that affect their lives. So meron tayong four elements ng empowerment. So una, dapat yung mga tao, yung mga people ay merong access to information, no? And second one, yung inclusion and participation. So inclusion and participation, like in the planning process, so lagi natin sinasabi dapat stakeholder participation or meaningful participation. So dapat lahat ng tao or lahat ng sectoral groups ay nakakasama at they have meaningful participation in the planning process. Or their issues, concerns, problems as individual or as a group are being heard by the LGU or na-translate into plans and actions. And number 4, accountability, yung accountability ng government, may pananagutan sila sa kanilang obligasyon bilang bilang duty bearers sa ating citizenry. And then fourth, local organizational capacity, no? So kasama yung mga local organizational capacity natin or capacity building to empower them doon sa participation. So yun yung 4 elements of empowerment. Yan. Social participation, sabi natin, development is only meaningful if people participate in the process of their own development. So kaya di ba sa planning process natin, even sa lahat ng mga plan development, dapat may meaningful participation ng ating mga stakeholders. The very process of participating is in or itself educational, liberating, and empowerment. So dito napapasok yung empowerment. And people, saan tayo napaplano? People are the principal actors of development, that they are the agent of change. So basically, pag sinabi mong social, mas medyo nakapokus tayo sa people-centered approach. Right. So this is sa social participation. So si Sherry Arnstein ay nag-authored siya ng classic na 8 Ranks and Ladder of Citizen Participation. So actually, si Sherry Arnstein ay member siya ng advocacy planning and he authored yung 8 Ranks and Ladder of Citizen Participation. So ito, madalas din ito lumalabas sa boards. No? So sino yung proponent ng 8 Ranks in the Ladder of Citizen Participation? So si Sherry Arnstein. But you need also to read kung ano yung ibig sabihin na niya ng 8 Ranks in the Ladder of Citizen Participation. So dito, pinapakita dito sa ladder niya na itong manipulation and therapy, ito yung non-participation. So ibig sabihin, hindi pa empowered yung mga citizen, no? So hindi pa powerless pa sila in terms of participating in the planning process or in terms of hearing their voices or issues. So itong part ay non-participation or wala pang involvement ng key stakeholders. Pag umakyat na siya dito sa next 3 ladders, ito na yung medyong degree of tokenism. So ibig sabihin nito, reactive, no? May participation input. Meron ng informing, consultation, application, pero hindi pa ganoon ka-empowered din yung ating yung stakeholders. So parang alam lang nila yung basic rights nila, pero hindi pa na-actionan or yung kanilang mga issues at saka concerns, or hindi pa ganoon ka-vocal in terms of their participation. They might be included in the planning process, pero hindi pa sila naririnig or they just participated or they just attended yung level of participation nila. Pag sinabi natin proactive participation, ito na yung degree of citizens' power, ito yung sa taas ng ladder. So ito na yung proactive na yung citizens, no? So may citizens involvement na. So ito yung negotiated decision making. So ibig sabihin si government kasama si stakeholders or yung key decision makers ay nag-uusap na talaga. So may mga negotiation, mas delegated na yung control, And si citizen may control din towards doon sa decision-making process. So, ito yung pinaka-highest ranks in terms of participation of stakeholders. Yeah. So, any questions so far? So, balikan ulit natin. Pag sinabi mong hierarchy of needs, sino yung proponent natin sa hierarchy of needs? Yan, Abraham Maslow. Yan. This is a scientific study of the human population primarily with concern to size, structure, and development. Ayan, ang bilis sumagot. Yan, demography. 8 ranks in the ladder of citizens' participation. Ayan, Shirley Arnstein. And then last one are the principal actors of development. They are the agents of change. Para kanino ka nagpaplano? Parang ganun, di ba, pagising natin pag nagkakape tayo. So isipin nyo, para kanino ako nagpaplano? Para sa, yan, tingnan natin. Para sa tao, sa people. Para sa tao, ayan. Ay, kita ko na to. Ayan, so we're done with the basic concept of social planning. Let's proceed to the measuring of social development. So, quiz. An indicator of quality of life developed by Nobel laureate Amartya Sen. This composite measures combines life expectancy at birth, school enrollment rate. What is the answer? Nakita na kasi yung letter C kanina. Ayan, tama lahat. Letter C, Human Development Index. So, ito yung ginagamit natin in measuring yung life expectancy, level of poverty. Ayan. So, pag sinabi natin quality of life, it involves, sabi natin we want to measure quality of life. It involves higher income, better education, higher standards of health and nutrition, less poverty, a cleaner environment, more equality of opportunities, greater individual freedom, and richer in culture life. So, yun yung definition natin of the quality of life. So, meron tayong mga indexes, kung paano natin measure yung quality of lives. So, unang-una, we have the Human Development Index. And we have also we have Millennium Development Goals. Now, we have the Sustainable Development Goals or yung SDGs. And we have also Human Poverty Index, poverty measures, Gender Development Index, and yung tinatawag natin na GEM or Gender Empowerment Measures. So ngayon, isa-isahin natin. So, pag sinabi natin Human Development Index, meron tayong mga indicators na tinitingnan to measure yung quality of life na sinasabi natin. So, like dito sa Human Development Index, so one of the indicators is yung life expectancy at birth. Then, yung adult literacy rate, so mataas ba yung literacy rate in the country? Yung gross enrollment ratio, at saka yung gross domestic product. Ito yung indicators na tinitingnan natin in relation to Human Development Index. Pag Human Poverty Index, meron tayong tinitingnan, may 1 and 2 siya. Una, yung probability at birth not surviving to age of 40. Then, tinitingnan din natin yung adult literacy rate, percentage of population not using improved water sources. Ito yung access to quality of water. So, level 3 ba yung water nila or deep well pa rin ba or level 1. Then, percentage of children who are underweight. So, yun yung mga indicators natin na tinitingnan in relation to Human Poverty Index. And sa Human Poverty Index 2, ito, probability at birth or not surviving to age 60. So, yung life expectancy, percentage of adult lacking functional literacy, percentage of people living below the poverty line, ang poverty incidence natin. And yung long-term unemployment rate. Yung gender development index natin, ang mga tinitingnan naman natin na indicators, yung female and male life expectancy at birth, female male adults literacy rate, female and male gross enrollment ratio, and saka yung female and male estimated income. So kung mapapansin nyo ko dito sa gross development index, gender development index, at saka gender empowerment measurement, mas tinitingnan natin yung life expectancy in relation to sex or female at saka male. So yan, female and male shares legislation sa gender economic empowerment measures, yung female. So dati kasi parang pag in relation to legislation, mas marami daw yung mga nakakaupo in terms of legislation ng mga lalaki. So tinitingnan na natin siya. And then yun, female and male shares of professional technical profession. So dati, before, parang ang in terms of profession, no, parang dito papasok yung pag-architects or engineer, mas madaming males. Pag mga social work or sociologist, mas madaming females. So ngayon, meron tayong gender empowerment measure and indicators. And female and male estimated earned income. So mas mataas ba yung kita ng babae or mas mataas yung kita ng mga lalaki. So ito yung mga indicators na tinitingnan natin. Kadalasan sa boards, ang tinatanong ay saang indicator pumapasok ito o anong measurement of development pumapasok itong indicators na to. So kaya pinapakita ko yung mga indicators para alam nyo pagdating sa board exam kung saan pumapasok yung mga indicators in relation to the measurement of development. So before, dati during my time, sobrang daming MDGs na lumabas nung sa amin. But I think I don't think na lalabas ulit siya. Pinapakita ko lang kasi nag-end na siya ng 2010. So, ngayon ay mas MDG na siya. Sustainable Development Goals na siya. Mas SDG na siya. So, ito, lumabas din siya dati sa boards. Mamaya magpapakita ko ng sample na exam. But I don't think na lalabas ulit siya. Pero just to make sure, yung sa SDG report natin, baka mas yung tingnan nyo in relation to the achievement of sustainable development goals in relation to sa ating social planning. So, yan, we have sustainable development SDG from MDGs, you have the sustainable development goals. So, 2030 agenda. So, we have 15 years, 17 goals, 169 targets, and 230 indicators na tinitingnan. So, ito yung mga goals natin, inisa-isa lang natin. So, goal 1 to 15, and yung targets sa indicators. Yan. So, hindi ko na isa-isahin. Yan. So, MDG at saka SDG. Pagdating sa Human Development Index naman, ang tinitingnan natin ay yung GPT or life expectancy at birth, yung knowledge or yung literacy rate at saka yung standard of living or yung level of poverty ng GDP per capita. So, ito yung primarily na indicators na binanggit natin kanina. Then, yan. Medyo na ata yung slide ko. Ito ay in relation to SDG. No? So, kanina pinakita ko yung mga MDGs, indicators, and yung mga SDG indicators. So, baka matanong sa boards, ano yung goal in relation to sustainable development goal ang na-achieve na natin as of 2022. So kung makikita nyo, ang medyo na-achieve natin na SDG ay ang, anong SDG? So meron tayong dashboard dito. So SDG 13, yan, 6 at saka 12. No? Ito, yung green, pataas. Ibig sabihin, SDG achieved siya. And marami pa rin tayo yung challenges namin. So may mga challenges pa rin tayo. Madaming mga goals. Ito yung no poverty, zero hunger, good health, and yung mga major challenges remain pa rin siya. So baka makatanong, so nag-provide ako ng link ng SDG dashboard. You can read yung latest reports on sustainable development goals or yung latest trends or progress report ng ating SDGs. So, ang nag-prepare ng SDG report natin, ang lead ay the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA. But other agencies, lahat ng agencies ay napakontribute. So, kinoconsolidate ni NEDA yung mga indicators coming from the various national government agencies. Then sila yung gumagawa ng SDG progress report, ang NEDA. So, take note on that. Yan. So, in relation to Human Development Index, no, so 1990, medyo tumataas naman yung sa Pilipinas, mataas yung Human Development Index natin. So, kung makita nyo yung trend. Ibig sabihin, medyo nag-improve yung ating life expectancy, yung literacy rate, at saka yung poverty situation natin. For this, in 2019, ito yung latest na Human Development Index. So, baka matanong sa boards, and naglagay din ako ng link para makita nyo yung full-blown na Human Development Index in the country, the Philippines. So, ito yung 2019 Human Development Index natin. So, kung mapapansin nyo, by Human Development Index natin, una ay ang Benguet, next ay Metro Manila, and then yung Rizal. Yan. And yun, Iloilo, Batanes, Ilocos Norte, Cavite, Laguna, La Union, Bulacan, and Pampanga. So, madaming region 3, no? So, ulit yung indicators na tinitingnan natin sa HGMI. So, una, yung life expectancy, yung literacy rate, at saka yung poverty incidence or situation. So, Benguet, baka mas mayaman, mababa yung kanilang poverty rate, mataas yung kanilang literacy rate, at mataas din yung life expectancy nila. So, kaya sila siguro una doon sa ating HDI index in the Philippines. Yan. Misamis Oriental represent. Ayan. So, makikita nyo yung situation ng mga provinces nyo, no? So, pag naging planner na kayo, so, kailangan yung tulungan yung mga provinces nyo, yung municipalities nyo, para umakyat tayo dito sa Human Development Index. Right. So, poverty measures, ano yung mga tinitingnan natin? Poor, ito yung individual or household whose income fall below the poverty threshold as defined by NEDA. Or ito yung mga cannot sustain or afford to provide for their minimum basic needs of food, health, education, housing, and other essential. And pag sinabi natin absolute poverty, ito ay mga key definitions lang. No? So baka lumabas siya sa exam. So pag sinabi natin absolute poverty, condition of the household below the food threshold or food for poor. Pag sinabi natin poverty incidence, ito ay portion ng population whose annual per capita income falls below the annual per capita poverty threshold to the number of families and population. And then poverty threshold, annual per capita income, amount to be spent to satisfy nutritional requirements. So actually in 2015, but I think, it's 2015, ang sabi sa research, a family of 5 daw ay kailangan ng at least parang 6,400 monthly income para ma-meet niya yung mga basic needs. Yung mga basic needs, ito yung food, shelter. Pero para ma-meet niya yung mga non-essential na foods like other needs, kailangan daw niya ng at least 9,000 a month kung kayo ay 5 sa isang pamilya. So imagine yun, noong 2015 pa yun, 6,000 for basic needs and 9,000 monthly income for both basic and non-food needs. So kung ngayon, for this inflation, kakasya pa kaya yung 6,000 na income in a family of 5. So baka hindi na, no? Kasi 2015 pa to yung research na ginawa. So baka ngayon dapat mas malaki yung income ng isang pamilya na merong 5 membro para ma-provide niya yung basic needs and non-food items. Yeah. Yan. So average household size. So noong 2002 medyo lumiliit tayo, no, in terms of average household size. So 2000 average in the family. 2010, so 4.6, 4.4, 2020, so 4 yung ating average household size. So, based from the ESA census of population. Yan. So, yung poverty incidence natin, ito, another data lang ulit. So, bumababa. Nagde-decline naman yung poverty incidence natin among the population. So, noong 2015, bumaba siya ng 21.6 na. So parang 4 yung binaba niya. But tingnan natin this year, so ilan na? From 2018 na 21.1, last year, naging 23.7 yung ating poverty incidence. So lumaki ulit siya, no? Yung poverty incidence natin nadagdagan ulit. And I think this is due to COVID-19 pandemic, no? So madaming nawalan ng trabaho, yung pinakakitaan. So that's why yung poverty incidence ay tumaas din siya. So ito yung for the Philippines, but you can also see the poverty incidence of the other regions, of all the regions in the Philippines. So tataas yung poverty incidence ng Mindanao parts. Yeah, Mindanao parts. Army. Paraga. Ayan. So, baka matanong kung ilan yung poverty incidence in 2021, so 23.7. So, yan. So, may questions tayo so far? Or quiz? Ay. Ito, sample lang pala. Kala ko napakita ko ulit yung answer. So, ito yung sample questions lang before MDG. Ito yung sample questions na parang lumabas during our time. So may ganito siyang question. So parang, under which of the following MDG has the Philippines achieved the greatest accomplishment in the period of 2010 according to the official UNDP reports? So ang sagot dito ay yung promotion of gender equality and empower women. So baka may ganitong type of questions din during ENP board. So baka under the SDGs, ano na yung na-achieve ng Pilipinas in relation to the SDG indicator. So, may ganitong type of questions. So, pakibasa na lang yung link na na-share ko kanina doon sa ating presentation. Right. So, quick recap. So, we have discussed yung basic planning concepts and then yung mga paano ba natin measure yung social development indexes. So, we have Human Development Index, gender empowerment measures. We have the SDGs, before MDGs, and we have the poverty incidence. So now, let's proceed to the planning standards. Ito, medyo mahaba siya. Himay-himayin natin yung lahat ng mga subsectors ng social planning. So let's start with demography. So, ayan, exam ulit. The difference between a census and a survey is that, yeah. B. Bakit may nag-change ng B? I changed to B. Yan. So the answer is letter B. Census involves complete enumeration while survey involves sampling. Yan. Ito, demography denotes the study of human population through statistical methods. This involves primarily the measurement of the size and increase or decrease of number of people. The constituent of change in these areas are so ano po yung sagot? So the answer is letter, yan, puro B. So the answer is letter B, births, deaths, and migration. Ayan. Parang ang dami ata letter B na correct answer. Pero sa board exam, huwag kayo magpuro B Ayan. Yun, definition ulit of demographic concepts. So, pag sinabi natin population size, total number of members of the population composition, it includes characteristic of a population for a particular period. So, kasama dito yung age, sex, composition. Population distribution, ito yung spatial distribution or location of the members of population. So, anong area ang may pinakamadaming population in terms of sa local. And median age, ito yung age that divides the population into equal halves. Sex ratio, the ratio between the total number of men and the total number of women, and yung annual growth rate, yung average increase of the total population on a yearly basis. So, pinapakita ko lang yung definition of terms in relation to demographic concepts. Yun. So, different age group yung iba't ibang different age group natin ay meron silang different needs to be addressed in the planning and development. So, pag alam natin, yung age ay 15 to 49, so ibig sabihin, kailangan nila ng healthcare or mga healthcare services and facilities. So, in healthcare, important for individual below 15 years old, women of childbearing, and the elderly. And then education, ito demand for this service is highest from age 5 to 10. Ito yung school going age population. Then food, demand is highest among yung young age group, especially teenagers. So mas malaki yung demand ng food doon sa young age kasi sila yung mga sinasabi natin na growing kid. Sa employment, demand is highest among the working age population. So ano yung working age population natin? 15 to 64. And then housing, ito yung demand peaks at ages when people start living independently or start their own families. So yun yung demand housing, ages for housing. Then ito yung pakita lang natin yung age sex structure composition. So sample, LGU population, yung LGU population is one of the basic inputs and development planning. So kanina napakita natin na yung mga ages ay nag-vary kung ano yung mga support, facilities at saka services ang kailangan ng isang locality. So halimbawa ito, yung population pyramid natin dito, so makikita na in relation to age composition, mas marami yung ages 5 to 19. So, ibig sabihin sila yung mga school going age population and sila din yung mga kailangan ng mga healthcare facilities and services. So, yung universe ng ating pyramid. And then, the age, 0 to 14 years old, child and youth-dependent population. Yung 15 to 64, ito yung productive population, yung working age or yung labor force natin. And then, dependent population, yung below 15, yung 0 to 4. And yung over 64 years old, the dependent population. So, tingnan natin ulit. So, you can memorize this kasi baka may lumabas na sa boards na computation, dapat alam mo yung mga age groups. So, dependent, 0 to 14, 64 and above. School age population, labor force, 15 to 64, reproductive age, 15 to 49 years old. Yung sa school age, kasi yung ginagamit natin na planning standards ay yung wala pang K to 12. But wala pang revision ng ating planning standard. But ito, kasi may nabago doon sa edad ng school age population natin, may inclusion na ng senior K to 12. So, you can just read this. Pero I don't think na lalabas na yung component ng K to 12 exam sa ENP boards. And we have not yet to revise yung planning standard in relation to social planning and other standards. So, parang may nadagdag lang na 2 years doon sa ating K to 12 na program. So age dependency ratio indicates the extent to which those who are too young or too old to earn a living dependent to support on those who work. So this is the formula. Pero hindi tayo magko-compute today. I think meron another topic for the computation or tapos na ba kayo doon? Hindi pa, no? Yan. So, allowed naman na gumamit ng calculator during the exam. Pero pati yung mga population projection, and this one, total dependency ratio, may na-discuss na. So, nag-compute na kayo. Ayan. So, allowed naman magdala ng calculator, pero meron lang calculator na allowed. Hindi ata pwede yung mga nakaprogram. So, ito yung formula. So, you can just read, memorize the formula. And then the age, in age range. So, total dependency ratio, so population below 15 plus population 65 years old and above over population 15 to 65 years old times 100. And then, young dependency ratio, old dependency ratio. So, it's important to memorize yung mga formula natin. Yan, so sample computation lang yan. So, tapos na pala kayo sa computation. Yan. Urbanization level. So, tinitingnan din natin yung urban density. So, ratio ng total population of an area. So, bawa in a barangay. So, ilan yung urban density niya. And we need to compute. Paano siya pinocompute? So, yung level of urbanization. So, population of urban areas over yung population of a city. So, doon mo ma-determine yung urbanization level ng isang LGU. So, it's very important to measure or to compute yung level of urbanization para alam natin yung trend of the population increase or density of one locality. So, components of population change. So, tinitingnan natin paano ba nagbabago ang populasyon, no? So, meron tayong fertility, ito yung mga natural births, mga pinapanganak na bago, mortality, disease, and migration. So, fertility, this refers to the eve births that occur within a population. The production of eve birth is connected with many factors like the start of cohabitation, use of contraception, infant and child mortality, and of pregnancy. So this is the definition of fertility. So good birth rate. So paano natin kinocompute yung good birth rate? So sabi natin pag CBR, this refers to the number of births divided by the mid-year population. So CBR, number of births in a given area. Parang last time ata nung dating reports, may lumalabas din na CBR at saka CDR na computation. So it's very important again to know kung ano yung formula ng CBR at saka CDR computation. Then mortality refers to the occurrence of death in a population. So yung incidence of death. So baka malito kayo sa mortality, morbidity, good death rate, CDR. Paano po nyo compute ang CDR? Pag CDR naman, it refers to the number of deaths per 1,000 population. So, yan. So, ito yung formula niya. So, nag-compute na ba kayo ng ganito during doon sa last time? Yan. So, please just memorize yung ating formula. Yan. Even this maternal mortality rate. Ay, hindi pa. Ayan. I think meron isang topic for computation talaga na magdadala kayo ng calculator para ma-practice nyo yung actual na computation. Actually, ang dami din lumalabas, parang laging lumalabas yung population projection. So later on, we will discuss yung population projection. So migration, permanent change of residents. Yan, crossing an administrative boundary from place to origin and destination. So sabi natin, kanina, yung primary indicators for population change is mortality, fertility, morbidity, at saka migration. So, paano ba natin kino-compute yung population growth rate? So, meron tayong projecting using growth model. So, meron tayong arithmetic, geometric, exponential. Ito, nag-compute na kayo nito. So madalas lumalabas ito, yung population projection. So ito yung formula natin. Kadalasan lumalabas ay yung geometric method. So this is the formula. The base population of a year plus the population of a year, years later. Na-compute na ba kayo? Yan. So, you can just memorize the formula in projecting the population. Kasi ito ay madalas talagang lumalabas. Yan. Pwede naman gumamit ng calculator. So, may techniques na ituturo ata sa inyo yung next. Baka bukas may computation kayo. Then, ito yung sa arithmetic method. Yan, formula. E plus MN. So, number of years between. Pero may sa boards, meron na siyang parang sample na ganito data. Tapos ilan yung next na projected population. So, yun yung to compute in relation to population projection. Yan, we have geometric, arithmetic, and then yung exponential method. So, we need to memorize yung how to compute population projection. Kasi hindi natin alam na baka ang lumabas ang population projection in parang using geometric method, using exponential method. And so, hindi pa tayo mako-compute. And so, review ulit, age group, dependent age. Very important to, 0 to 14, 64 above, school age, labor force or working, 15 to 64, reproductive age group, 15 to 49. Okay. Yeah, so let's proceed. We're done with demography, population subsector. Now let's proceed with housing subsector. Question. The law that authorizes the establishment and promulgation of different levels of standards of economic and socialized housing in relation. Yan, may ibang. And through letter A. The answer is letter A, BP to 20. Ayan, lahat tama. Next question. Ay, wala na palang next. Ayan, ito. So, discuss lang natin kung ano yung iba't ibang uri ng types of housing. No? So, meron tayong single detached, row houses, apartment, townhouse, high-rise, yan, mga cooperative living. So, but for this subsector, we'll be focusing on economic and socialized housing. So, yan. So, may computation din tayo sa housing, no? We also compute yung demand or yung housing backlog or yung demand for housing needs. But for the key concept, so pag sinabi natin housing backlog, ito yung number of dwelling units needed at the beginning of the planning period. Pag sinabi natin double household, ito yung mga isang dwelling unit, pero dalawang households yung nakatira. Ibig sabihin, dalawang pamilya yung nakatira, yung extended family. Pag sinabi natin displaced units, ito yung mga kailangan na for your relocation. So, maaaring displaced sila, naging home, na-displaced sila dahil sa disasters or dahil sa build program. And then, yan, new housing units needed to replace those occupied, located, and dangerous inhabitable areas. Ito yung mga sa riverside, and then those on living in high-risk areas. Pag homeless, ito yung mga individuals or household living in parks, sidewalks. So wala talaga silang tinitirahan, wala talaga silang housing or shelter. And then formulation of a new household, ito yung mga new families who opt to live independently. Obsolescent housing, ito yung mga units or housing for upgrading and tenure need infrastructure for improvement needs. So, ito ulit yung formula. Paano natin pinocompute yung current housing demand? So, total population over the household size of the municipal at last census. So, ito. This is the sample of computation. Yes. Tips lang, siguro once we have discussed yung pag-compute talaga, you can also practice yung pag-compute ng mga yung mortality rate, yung current housing demand. And then, yan, didiscuss ulit si DSUD as the primary national government entity responsible for the management of housing, human settlement, and urban development. So, baka lumabas, since bagong law ito, yung RA 11201 natin. So si DSUD, meron pa rin siyang role ng attached agencies. No? So, yung role ng attached agencies, for the finance side, meron tayong HDMF, NHFF, at yung CHAPC. And for the finance side, for the production, ay nandito ang National Housing Authority, NHA. And yung mga for policy, program coordination, mga conciliation issues, meron tayong human settlement adjudication commission. Just sila so parang legal side ng housing. So, ito yung mga attached agents, housing agencies natin. Baka may lumalabas din na ganito. So, ito, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, major government home mortgage institution mandated to develop yung mga secondary mortgage projects. NHA, yung primary role talaga niya is shelter production, direct shelter production, ibig sabihin, pagpapatayo ng mga houses, pagpakonstruct ng mga socialized and economic houses, and providing housing assistance to the lowest 30% of urban income earners. HDMF, more popularly, yung Pag-ibig, known as Pag-ibig Fund, charged with the development of savings scheme or home acquisition by private and government employees. So, social housing, CHAPC, the lead agency to socialized housing project, catering for the formal and informal sectors of low-income brackets. So, sila din yung take charge doon sa mga CMP natin or yung mga community mortgage program natin, yung mga saka yung mga abot kaya pabahay program. Yan, Human Settlement Adjudication Commissions, an agency that has exclusive jurisdiction over all cases. No, yung mga appeals for decision and local regional planning and zoning bodies. So, they shall also exercise yung exclusion, jurisdiction, yung mga cases, no, yung mga kailangan conciliation involving housing needs or issues. So, yan, pinasadahan lang natin yung different housing agencies. Baka matanong. And then, pag sinabi natin economic and socialized housing, this is a type of housing project provided to moderately to low-income families with lower interest rate and mas mahaba yung periods ng amortization nila doon sa pabahay. And then, socialized housing, as defined by UDHA or RA 7279, refers to housing programs and projects covering houses and lots or home lots only undertaken by government or private sector for the unprivileged and homeless citizen. No? Pag-socialized for the underprivileged and homeless citizen, which shall include sites and services development. That's socialized housing. So, according to BP 220, sino ba yung eligible? Ito yung mga eligibility criteria for the socialized housing program, beneficiary. So, sino ba dapat yung mga beneficiary ng ating socialized housing? So, dapat una, must be a Filipino citizens, must be underprivileged and homeless citizens, must not own. So, dapat wala kayong ari-arian, do not own any real property, whether in urban and rural areas. Dapat hindi kayo membro, must not be a member of professional squatter or squatting syndicates, housing syndicates. So that's the beneficiary criteria. Ayan. So magkano ba yung price ceilings, no? Pag sinabi mong socialized economic, no? So before, meron tayong MC 13 series of 2017. So yung socialized housing, nag-range siya sa 450,000 and below. Price ceiling. That's for horizontal development. Pag vertical, yun ay 400,000 and below. Horizontal, ito yung mga matataas, no? Parang siya, apartment or condominium, medium or high-rise socialized housing projects. So that's the price ceiling. For the economics housing, so 450,000 to 1.7 million. And then for the median cost housing, so 1.7 saka 4 million. Open market na yan, 4 million. So this is for as per MC13 series of 2017. But lately, merong nirelease si DSUD na MC2203 series of 22 na tinaasan yung price ceiling for economic housing. So from 1.7, naging 2.5 million na siya. This is also with consultation with various national government agencies. So medyo malaki din yung demand in terms of housing because of the COVID-19 pandemic and yung population increase. So baka lumabas. So ito yung mga price ceiling natin. So take note lang sa exam, price ceiling as per MC13 series of 2017 at ito naman yung sa latest NC that released by the DSUD. Tumaas na siya, 1.7 to 2.5 billion. Ayan, some basic minimum design standards and requirements for economic and socialized housing. So, Section 4, basis and objectives of minimum design, protection and safety ng general public, basic needs of human settlements. So, kailangan pag nagko-construct tayo ng socialized housing at saka economic housing, dapat may provision of the basic settlement human needs. So like water, movement and circulation, even drainage system, no, and waste disposal, and provision of parks and playground, at saka electricity, power. Letters, next, affordability levels of market. So dapat reasonable price yung land at saka yung shelter. And location shall be within suitable site and outside potential hazard-prone and protection area. So dapat kung sa socialized housing in relation to CLUP, dapat yung pagtatayuan ng socialized housing ay nakazone siya doon sa residential. Or kadalasan yung pag CLUP tayo, meron din tayong designated na socialized housing zone. No? So dapat hindi siya nakazone or hindi natin siya ilalagay sa high-risk areas or protected areas or strict protection zone. No? Baka ilagay niyo sa forest preservation, so hindi yun pwede. So dapat suitable sites for housing projects. So technical guidelines in designing economic and socialized housing. So availability of basic needs. So kailangan pag mag-socialized housing tayo, dapat available yung mga basic needs. Then, conformity with zoning ordinance. Yung kanina sabi ko, dapat kung ano yung ilalagay din siya sa zone na socialized housing or residential zone. So, it's in compliance with the CLUP and zoning ordinance. Physical suitability. So, helpful, safe, and environmentally sound community life. And accessibility. So, dapat malapit sa public transportation. So, may mga resettlements din tayo na medyo malalayo din talaga sa public transportation. So, dapat ina-assess din talaga natin yung sites on the suitability or accessibility of socialized housing. Then, planning considerations. Ano pa yung mga ibang planning considerations natin? Yan, dapat provision of future improvement. Dapat mayroon right of way, may mga roads, open spaces. So, kadalasan sa resettlement site or socialized housing, ito yung mga open space, no? Parang hindi na ginawa na rin roads, no? So, dapat makapag-alat pa rin ng open space. This also includes parks and playgrounds, hindi lang basketball courts. No? Dapat meron specific use for playgrounds and parks within socialized housing projects. And then, site preservation. So, dapat hindi mataas yung slope, dapat 18 below. And then preservation of site assets and groundwater. ISMET, dapat in compliance yung proposed housing projects natin, socialized housing, dapat in compliance with water code. So, pag sinabi natin, dapat malayo sa pag-forest, di ba? Dapat 40 meters. Pag-urban, 3 meters. Pag-agriculture, 2 meters. So, yun mga major considerations din. Even buffer, yan, fault places, no? 5 meters away from the fault line and other related laws. And dapat merong roads, street, parkways, and circulation doon sa resettlement or socialized housing project. Right, so other design parameters, land allocation, sealable areas, wala tayong fixed ratio between the sealable portion and non-sealable. And shall conform with the minimum requirements for the open space. So ano yung mga minimum requirements natin for the open space? Yan. So ito yung mga requirements. So hindi ko na isa-isahin, pero ito madalas din lumabas ito kung ilan yung minimum requirements for the allocation of parks and playground in economic or socialized housing. So pag halimbawa, pag yung density is about 225, so dapat at least 9% of that gross area ay allotted for parks and playgrounds. So pag socialized housing, ganun din, no? Pag above 225 dwelling units, dapat 9% din yung gross area of parks and playgrounds. So dapat may nakaalat tayo na playgrounds and parks. And area allocated for the community facilities. So ano naman yung mga community facilities na kailangan in resettlement or subdivision or in the socialized housing projects. So, ito, magde-depends din sa dwelling units. So, pag halimbawa, 2,500 to 3,000 na dwelling units, so dapat meron ng multipurpose center, dapat meron ng retail center, dapat meron ng elementary school, high school, and meron ng public transportation. So yun yung design standards and requirements. Yan. And then pag community facilities, ayan, 25. So yun din yung kanina discuss natin. And then community facility, ito ay multipurpose centers required for project 1 hectare or bigger, whether socialized or community. So dapat pala yung mga socialized housing projects natin, yung mga settlement economic housing facilities, ay meron talagang community facilities, merong multipurpose center as required by the law. 22. And then for the circulation center, so observance of the hierarchy of roads within the subdivision, conformance of natural topography, yung slope, yung kanina, dapat below 18, consideration for access and safety, minimum number of roads. So, dapat mas malapit talaga siya, mas accessible siya sa school, health, and major transportation center or major transportation facilities. Optimization as to number of lots to listen area for roads at a time and enhance community interaction. So, yun yung circulation system natin in relation to hierarchy of roads. Yan, so standards ulit. Baka nalilito na kayo sa mga numbers. Yan, so pinapakita lang natin yung mga design standards and requirements. Yan, so hierarchy of roads, project, depende sa project size, no, kung ilang hectares. So, halimbawa, pag about 30 hectares na, so kailangan na talagang major, collector, minor, and motor court alley na hierarchy of roads. Same with the socialized housing. Yan. And then, kasama din yung road right-of-way. So, even pathwalk and alley, no? So, kailangan din siyang dapat meron sa isang socialized at economic housing. Right. Mga planting strips and sidewalks. So, yun, for socialized housing. So, meron din tayong minimum design and standards. So, depend sa right-of-way kung ilang meters. Yun din yung mga planting strips and sidewalks for socialized and economic housing. Yan, road pavement, minimum, yan, may design standards pa, no? Yung, pati yung kapal, yung minimum thickness of 50 millimeters. And yun, with minimum thickness of 150 millimeters. And then, mga intersection, road intersection. So, not be less than 20 meters from corner to corner. Yan. Yan. Right of way. Ito yun sa road, grade, and slope. Yan. So, hindi ko na isa-isahin, no? Pero nandito naman sa PowerPoints yung pinaka-essential or key concept in relation to minimum design and standards. Yan. So, ito yung minimum lot requirement. So, pag sinabi natin single detached, pag economic, 72 square meter. Ito, madalas itong lumalabas kung ilan yung minimum lot requirement for economic, for socialized. So, pag detached, economic 72 square meter. Pag socialized, it's 64 square meter. Duplex, economic, 54. Pag socialized, 48. Then, ito yung row houses. No? So, pag economic, 36 square meter. And pag socialized, mga sample nito yung mga nasa resettlement sites natin, no? 28 square meter. So, please take note on this. Baka lumabas sa exam yung minimum lot requirement for economic and socialized housing projects as per VP to 20. Yan. Pati mga lot frontages, no? Meron tayong design, minimum design standards and requirements. Frontages and even doon sa length of lot. And floor area component. Yan. Shelter component for socialized housing, it shall house with doors and windows. So, dapat may mga ventana or may mga windows. And dapat meron din palang firewall, no, as per BPT 20. Shall be mandatory for duplex and single attached units for every unit for row houses. So, yung firewall. Setback or yard. No, ito, front setback, 1.5 meter side. So, dapat parang may allocated space pa rin. Hindi lang yung floor plan mismo, floor area lang ng bahay. It's very important din na dapat may mga front setback pa at saka back setback pa para kung may additional space pa, pwede silang magtanim, like urban gardening sa kanilang area. So, medyo may ensure pa natin yung food security sa ating mga housing projects. And then, water supply. So, kailangan may provision of direct housing supply or direct connection with water supply. So, dapat may electricity din, and then may septic tank and community server system. Yan. So, dapat may mga socialized and housing projects natin, dapat meron silang provision ng electricity. May garbage and may firefighting, which is the homeowners din si HOA should be trained doon sa ating fire brigade in collaboration with barangay fire brigade. So, dapat yung mga HOA natin, so natitrain din sila in relation to disaster preparedness and response. Ayan, so ang haba ng housing, do. Pero itong pinakita kong mga design minimum standards for economic and socialized housing, kadalasan may lumalabas talaga dito na mga design standards. Yeah, for the education. Ay, napakita ko na tuloy na. Ayan, so Philippine standard. May lumalabas pang population density. Nung time namin wala, population projection talaga siya using parang geometric method ata. Ayan. So, napakita ko na naman yung answer sa ating quiz. Letter C, at least 20 meters away. Ayan. So, tingnan natin ulit yung mga standards. So, tapos na tayo sa housing. Let's proceed to the education. Ayan. So, education. Ayan. So, ito, yung mga student ratio. So, pag sinabi natin kinder, dapat ibig sabihin 1 teacher, tapos 30 student. Student-teacher ratio. Elementary, 1:35. Secondary, 1:40. College, 1:25. And graduate school is 1:15. May lumalabas po ba ng list squares? Noong time namin, wala. Ayan. So, ano yung mga design or space standards in relation to kindergarten. So, isa-isahin natin yung level of education, no? So, pag ang school site, dapat 500 square meters. So school site must have a minimal lot area of 500 square meters. The area may be divided into a minimum of 140 square meters for the playground. And then not more than, ito yung kanina, easy and safe access to nearest part of open space, not more than 20 meters walking distance from school site might presented as the alternative. Classroom size, 1.5 square meter, 1.5 per child. So yun atin yung minimum space standards for kindergarten. For the elementary, ito yung mga standard size natin. So 1.5 hectares for non-central school. And then 1 hectares for a central school na meron 6 classes. And then 2 hectares for the school na merong 7 to 9 classes. And 3 hectares for schools which have from 10 to 12 classes. And 4 hectares sa mga schools na merong more than 12 classes. Kasi di ba kadalasan sa school, about grade 1 to 6, meron mga sections, section 1 and 2. So, bibilangin mo yung ilang classes yun doon. So, yun yung requirements for the hectares for schools requirements. For the rural areas, magkaiba din yung school requirements for the rural areas. So, 1.5 hectares for central school for rural areas na meron 6 classes. And then for the urban, 1.5 central school with classes and non-central school with 7 to 10 classes. Pero pag tumataas yung number of classes, so tumataas din yung hectares standard space for school. So ito yung mga space standards, no? Pag classroom, dapat 1.40 square meter per place, elementary. Yeah, so hindi ko na isa-isahin, but ito yung minimum standards for instruction and administrative. Hindi lang school, classroom, no? Even yung mga offices, yung administrative office, library, medical and dental clinic, and even yung mga corridor. No? So, including yung mga computer room. Yan. And 3 kilometer yung distance, no? Distance from the student to walk from residence to school site, 3 kilometers. So at least 30 minutes maximum travel time from resident to school. So hindi pwedeng sobrang lalayo ng mga schools. So, pero ang dami pa rin cases dito sa atin, sa Pilipinas, na yung accessibility talaga ng school ay masyadong malalayo from residence. Or may mga barangays kasing walang schools din mismo. So yung mga school age-going population ay pumupunta pa to other barangays for access to education. Minimum standards, classroom, ganun din, 140 square meter per place, and even other school facilities. So yun yung mga ating minimum standards. Mm-hmm. Library, and even administrative. For the colleges or tertiary level, so meron tayong pag 500 or less students, 1.5 hectares, 1.5 hectares. So depende kung gaano kalaki yung estudyante, yun din yung hectares. So pag 3,000, 3 hectares na for the college and for tertiary education. Yan. For the largest colleges and universities, the campus should be at least 7 hectares for the minimum number of students, which is 10,000. Yan. So ito yung computation lang nung ating classroom need, current classroom need, and then yung current classroom need. So these are the formula. So, inaalam natin kung ilan yung current enrollment ratio times yung standard classroom minus yung current number of classroom. And then, yung mga dilapidated, yung mga hindi na ginagamit na school. So, pag lumabas yun, pag na-compute natin, alam natin kung ilan yung current classroom needs for a school. And then, for current teacher need, current enrollment times current standard classroom ratio, minus yung current number of teachers. So, karamihan sa mga schools natin ay hindi tayo compliant with the standard ratio. So, kung mapapansin nyo, even dito sa Metro Manila, in one classroom, ilang estudyante ang nandyan? 60 or 50. So, ang dami, no? So, 60 kan sila in one classroom. And projected classroom requirements. So, yan, pinapakita ko lang yung mga formula. But, yan, baka lumabas. So, you can just read or memorize the formula on projecting classroom requirements. Yan. Even dito sa enrollment participation ratio natin. Yan. Dun sa ating guidebooks, sa volume 2, may mga sample computations naman tayo doon. May mga sample na datasets to compute. Yan, so we're done with the education. So for health and sanitation, ano yung minimum total area for a tertiary level general hospital with 300 beds? So the answer is letter B, 3.5 hectares. So tingnan natin. So hospital, capacity beds, pag 25, 1.5 hectares, pag 100, yan, 1.5 pa rin. Pag 200, 2.5, 300, 3.5. So yun yung ating hospital area requirements. And ito, pag municipal hospital, 1.5 hectares yung area requirement natin. Pag provincial, same pa rin, 1.5. Pag regional, medyo malaki na siya. So 2.5 hectares for regional hospitals. So take note on the area requirements per hospital or clinic. So ito, hindi ko na isa-isahin, pero pag may mga sa level of health services, meron tayong tinatawag na first level, secondary level, and third level. So yung mga first, ito yung mga referral hospital. Ibig sabihin, yung mga hospital nito ay nagpo-provides ng clinical care and complete health services and facilities. Referral, second level, ito yung mga hospital that provides clinical services pa rin, pero mas clinical services provide in the first level ng referral hospital. Pero parang may specialty critical care siya pag sinabi mong referral hospital. Yan, third level. So baka matanong sa exam. For the hospital, what if between 1,000 po or 150? 100 to 200? For land area po ba to? Pag 100, it's 1.5 hectares. Pag 200, 2.5. Pag 1.150, it's between 1.5 or 2.5. No, pag 150 beds capacity. So pwede pa rin 1.5 land area. Pero if the LGU have enough land area, so pwedeng E200 na E150 capacity, bed capacity. Yan, so health service facilities and functions. Yan, ito lang yung mga standards personnel, no? So, pag yung population, yung population example, 50,000 and above. Pag 50,000 above, ibig sabihin, ito na yung mga kailangan na health personnel. So pag 50,000 above, dapat may 2 doctors, pag may 4 na nurse, may 4 na midwives, and 300 na rural service provider. Yan, so hindi ko na ulit isa-isahin, but this is the standards for personnel, RHU personnel. So ito naman yung mga design standards for establishing a new hospital. No, pag proposed hospital, at least 35 kilometers away from any existing government hospital. So kailangan hindi makalapit sa isang hospital. So at least medyo 35 kilometers, no, medyo malayo sa other government hospital. Dapat accessible as a referral facility. And dapat kung magtatayo ng new hospital ay dapat may catchment area na at least 75,000 population. Yan. So ito rin, may mga locational criteria din tayo for different types of hospital and health facilities. So may for barangay health station, so dapat at least daw 5 kilometers considering yung transport availability. 5 kilometers and dapat may 5,000 population. Yan. So these are the locational criteria. No? So may for barangay health stations, main health centers. So municipal hospital. So baka lumabas. So halimbawa sa municipal hospital, ito din 30 kilometers with a radius of approximately 30 kilometers and should be located sa mga settlements not provided with hospital services. Yan, secondary care district hospital, tertiary, and tertiary care regional hospital. So, hindi ko na isa-isahin to, but you can read all the locational criteria and guidelines in the volume 2 HRB guidebook, yung sa sectoral analysis natin. Yan. Even the medical centers and general hospitals. For the cemeteries naman, meron tayong mga locational criteria. So, kung as part of health, din kasi health and sanitation. So, ito din for the guidelines for the cemeteries. So, at least 20 meters. So, kung may proposed na cemeteries, dapat 20 meters distance from dwelling unit. Ibig sabihin, 20 meters distance away from residential area or settlement zone. No? And 50 meters distance from either side of river. No? And then any source of water supply. So, dapat ganun siya kalayo sa water source of supply. No, 50 meters. Paano kasi kung malapit, no, magiging contaminated yung source of water natin. Kung maglalagay kayo ng cemetery malapit sa river or doon sa main source of water. And then, yan, dapat malayo. Itong sample na lang din natin, malayo sa mga grounds or mga flood-prone areas. Dapat hindi siya pinapaha o hindi siya landslide-prone areas. Then, dapat away din siya sa mga watershed or lakes or major streams to maintain yung safe water supply natin. So, yun yung design guidelines or criteria natin for the cemeteries. Ayan. So, for the protective services, so, for the police, ito yung ideal ratio natin based on the HRB guidebook. So, 1 police, 1:500 persons. No? Tapos yung minimum standard police, 1:1,000. Minimum standards, 1:1,000. Yan. Ito, madalas din tong mga lumalabas kung ilan yung ideal standard ratio. For the police, for the jail, for the fire. Ayan. So, for the fire protection, requirements natin, dapat meron isang fireman for every 1 to 2,000 population. Dapat may fire truck for every 1 to 28,000 population and fire truck to fireman ratio 1:14. For the jail, so dapat meron tayong jail guard 1:5 inmates nga. And minimum standard 1:7 jail inmates. For the jail guard. Ayan. So, yan, type of jail, district jail, dapat meron daw at least, pag sinabi natin district jail, no, dapat at least 1,000 inmates. City jail, at least 251 inmates. Municipal jail, 250 inmates and below. So, yun yung ating standards for the jail or inmate population as per the ratio. Yan. So, ayun yung ating protected services. So, we talk about protected services, jail, fire, and yung ratio of the police. For the open space and social welfare, ito yung mga, for the sports and recreation, a minimum of 500 square meter per 1,000 population for a city or municipal park. So dapat mag-alat tayo ng minimum 500 square meter for 1,000 population. Tapos a minimum of 0.5 hectares per 1,000 population for play field o yung mga athletic field natin. Yeah, so these are the standards for sports and recreation. So even basketball courts, dapat may standards tayo in relation to planning. And then yung kung meron baseball and volleyball. Yan. Yung question kanina, kung yung perimeters, yes, from the perimeter po. Yung sa school po ata ito. Yan. Space. So that's the standard for sports and recreation. For the social welfare services, dapat meron tayong isang daycare center per barangay as per RA 6279. So, and then minimum area requirements, so dapat 2 square meter or 1 square meter for daycare daycare facility. And then dapat meron din 1 senior citizen care center per municipality, per city and municipality per RA 7876, and minimum area 500 square meter din for the senior citizen care center. Yeah. So that's for the social welfare services. Ayun. Okay pa ba kayo? Or nalulula na kayo sa dami ng planning standards? Sige nga, thumbs up. Ayun. May nag-sad face na. Ayun. Ganito po talaga kalawak ang planning. Madaming kailangan aralin. Madaming kailangan basahin. And then, question ulit, in the identification of needs and planning of social welfare and programs in services, the planner is expected to, ano yung sagot? Ayan, the answer is letter D. So, kailangan natin i-involve yung all sector involves. Kailangan natin yung people-centered planning approach natin. Okay, I think yun yung last presentation ko. Medyo ang dami, baka na-overwhelmed kayo sa mga technical planning standards mo. Pero, ganun po talaga ang environmental planning. Ang lawak ng tinitingnan natin, ang lawak ng role natin in relation to planning. Kung mapapansin nyo, no, sa sectoral planning pa lang, ang dami nang dapat aralin, i-memorize. So ito yung aking must read again, yung volume 2, sectoral analysis and tools for situational analysis, yung rationalized planning system, RPS, yung UDHA, 70 to 79, yung BPP to 20, and yung 70 to 79 UDHA, and then yung siguro basahin nyo na rin yung even yung DSUD Act. Baka lumabas yung mga bagong laws. And then yan, volume 2 for the sectoral standards, planning standards, and then references. Ayan, so I hope may na-capture pa rin tayo even sobrang technical ng ating mga dinidiscuss, no? Mukhang na-overwhelmed na naman or information overload tayo lahat. Tama ba? Ayan. Pero yung discussions ko naman is yung mga essential concept, key concept. And karamihan doon talaga ay may mga lumalabas na portion might be appear doon sa exam. And for the computation, I think meron talaga kayong separate na topic for the computation. So, makapractice kayo on how to compute population projection kasi kadalasan yun talaga lumalabas. Memorize yun or familiarize yung mga formulas natin on each subsector, yung sa housing, population, demography and population, how to compute housing demand.